Hi, I have a little kind of something that I need help with at the moment. Um, for my English language course at school, we had to write a speech on something that we felt really passionately about to be performed in front of a particular audience. Now, I wrote mine on depression, and I wanted to kind of do it for as though I was speaking in the Houses of Parliament in front of really important MPs and things. And before I hand it in, it'd be really great if I could just perform it to you guys, and then maybe get some sort of feedback from you about whether you think that it fitted the audience and whether you think it was just good, basically. Like any comments, I'd really appreciate. So I'm just gonna read it to you, and then you can kind of, I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can tweet me or leave a little message or something. So it's on depression and how there is not enough education in schools about that particular condition. So yeah, I'll just read it to you as though I am performing it. So just kind of try and imagine that you're not just sat at home watching this video, that you are actually a member of parliament. Okay. Depression. More education, less ignorance. First and foremost, before I begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for giving me the chance to voice my opinion today. It's not often that someone of my age gets a reception like this, and so I feel a great sense of honour to be here. I'd like to begin by giving you a brief view of what I will talk about today, and my main reasons for doing so. Something I feel is growing increasingly obvious is how little education there is on topics such as depression. In fact, I dare to say that there is a complete absence of education in this area, causing high levels of misunderstanding, assumption, and, most of all, frightening levels of ignorance. This has to change. We cannot continue to live in a world where a large percentage of the population are living each and every day being judged and ridiculed, simply because they are heartbreakingly misunderstood. In my opinion, if the teaching of the before-mentioned condition was given a designated block in the school curriculum, we could help to raise a more open-minded society. Forgive me now if I quote at length, but this is an absolutely perfect example of the level of ignorance people today are showing. This quote was found on a blog by a person whose identity will remain anonymous. I'm so sick of hearing people say that they have depression. It's not a condition, they're just lonely people in bad moods. Maybe if they went out and did things that made them happy, instead of sitting inside feeling sorry for themselves, they might actually get over it. A bad mood isn't an illness, as so many of the sufferers claim. It's just a way to brand stupid and ungrateful people who don't realise how lucky they are together. My guess, looking around, is that there may be even some people in this very room who are in complete agreement with what I just read. Hopefully, by the end of my next quote, you will be beginning to realise that the quote I just read aloud could not be further from the truth. My next quote is from a young girl of around 16 years old, who wrote a series of prose to help express her feelings and help with her condition. Each day I wake up and disappointment sweeps over me. I open my eyes to find that there is absolutely no joy in waking. Being awake holds no positive effects anymore. Depression, to me, feels like a dark black hole, and I'm trapped right at the very bottom of it. I can see people at the top of the hole, singing and dancing and laughing and smiling. I call out to them, but they can't hear me. They don't notice me. No one notices me. No one would even notice if I just disappeared. I don't have anyone at all who would miss me. They're all out enjoying their perfect lives while I stand right in front of them screaming and they don't even look up. I want to be happy. I'm so absolutely desperate to be happy. But I can't be. I just can't. I deserve this misery. I deserve every single second of it. Now, ask yourself this. Does that sound like the voice of a lonely person in a bad mood? No. It sounds like the voice of a girl who is on her knees begging for someone to understand, whilst everyone all around does nothing but speculate and call her an attention seeker. I suspect that some of you will still be in agreement with my first quote, and to be honest, I can see why. Because it's not only the world's youngsters and teenagers who are uneducated on depression, most adults are too. I do not blame you either. How are you supposed to understand when you've never been taught? Depression will affect 1 in 3 people at some point during their lifetime. Turn to your left. Now turn to your right. The chances are that one of those people you just looked at will experience depression. Over 10% of the British population alone are suffering from depression right now. Over 10%. That might not sound like a huge number, but it's still over 10% of people who are living life alone. To all the men in the room, studies suggest that depression occurs as often in men as in women. The women are twice as likely to be diagnosed and treated. It is argued that men tend to express their symptoms differently, for example through the use of alcohol and drugs, and are unwilling to admit to the symptoms of depression. Perhaps I am led to believe that this is because of the already frighteningly ignorant world. Would you really want to admit to something you know you will be ridiculed and accused because of? If I myself was given the opportunity to travel the globe educating the human race on the universally unacknowledged topic of depression, then I would in less than a single heartbeat. Forgive me once again if I seem to let down my guard a little in what I'm about to say. It's one thing to stand up here and read from a sheet of paper, but it's another to be able to say that I do understand what it's like to live with depression. For 6 years, I was trapped inside a depression so deep I thought I'd never be able to escape. I shut myself away from the rest of the world. I lost interest in everything that used to make me happy. My grades dropped because I was too miserable to go to school. I stopped seeing my friends. I stopped eating, sleeping, even talking. My whole life was empty. I was empty. I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything. Depression destroyed not only my life, but the lives of my family too. My mother often used to cry, begging me to come outside or to smile. My dad tried buying me books and CDs, anything to try and make me happier. My sister came to me in the middle of the night, sobbing because she thought she was going to lose me. All this happened right in front of my eyes. It tore me to pieces inside. I wanted so desperately to make my little sister smile, to be someone she could look up to. I wanted so dreadfully to be able to thank my dad and be grateful for the things he did for me. I wanted so terribly to hold my mother, to stop her tears and make her laugh again. Depression, however, would not let me. The more I made my family hurt, the more I hated myself inside. The more I hated myself inside, the further into depression I fell. But do you want to know the absolute worst part? I had absolutely no idea why I was so sad inside. Eventually, I got so utterly tired of living that I tried to end my life. Because that's the reality of depression. People die from it. Depression takes lives. Everyone knows about cancer. Everyone knows how many innocent people are consumed and destroyed by cancer. You wouldn't even dream of telling a person with cancer to just get over it, now would you? So why does that seem to be most people's solution to depression? Because nobody understands. People need to understand. People need to start opening their eyes to reality, to realizing that not everyone is okay, through no fault of their own. People need to be able to recognize the signs of depression before it's too late to turn back. People need to know that they're not alone, that there is hope, and that there is help. Don't you want to help? Don't you want to do something? Don't you want to save someone's life? Then please, please, please help me in my quest to make depression a vital part of every child's education. So yeah, that was my speech, and that's how I'm going to perform it in class. I think. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I would really, really appreciate any comments, good, bad, ways I can improve it, because I really, really, really want to do well in this class, because I want to be a writer when I'm older and I need to get a good grade. So yeah, if you could just please tell me what you think, and I would really, really be grateful. So I'll put my Twitter link in the description, or you can just leave me a message on my channel. And yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah.